You have to give me a new one for that. That is not on me.
What's up? We adjusted the tracking. Everyone in focus here. The VCR's tracking. I don't know what it's called.
What's a VCR?
Hi, Dad. Who's? Let's see. Henry. Okay. The green font was
Hey.
throwing me off. How's it going, man? Finally got a day off. That's good to
Nice.
have a
Congratulations,
day
man.
off.
Yay.
It's good. That's a good thing. Welcome to our ongoing 90s series. We're winding this series down with only this episode and two more left, being obviously 1998 and 1999. And then, yeah, it's pretty obvious at this point. So, I mean, it's been a good
Where's
run.
my childhood going?
Oh shit, that's right, Henry. I saw that this morning, man. I was so busy, I forgot. Happy birthday.
Oh,
bro.
crap.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, dude,
Thanks for
happy
joining
birthday.
us on your birthday, sir.
We
Yeah.
appreciate it. Happy birthday to you.
What a great gift
and
to us. Yeah, happy birthday, though. Who else is joining us here? Raven, what's up? Just finished making... I like chili. Chili's good.
Oh,
I
should make
have
that
milk.
more often.
No, maybe on the weekends. You and Trevor can have chili, and me and Kevin will avoid it.
You don't like
Kevin
chili?
likes chili. He doesn't like chili. He doesn't like beans.
What? Beans, the magical fruit.
The more you eat, the more you toot.
It's true.
Unfortunately,
So eat your beans at every meal, Rob.
It's true. You
What
should.
did you do?
So, in case you didn't know, this is DNA's weekly dosage. This is our 52nd episode, meaning we have gone pretty much a full calendar year almost at this point.
yeah.
Holy crap. A full year.
And we
Time
haven't
goes
killed
by.
each other yet.
Well, we've come close.
Except for Eric.
It's true.
Yeah, I
Who's
mean-
conspicuous by his absence.
Yeah, he's not here.
It wasn't me.
I mean, Rabbit. Sorry, not
And
Eric.
do it.
Well, it said in the intro, Eric the Dead.
That's true. He is also conspicuous. by
Henry
his
cheered. Hip, hip.
Hooray!
Thank you for that. So, under the weather is Rabbit the Dead, who is Rabbit and still alive, hopefully.
Who's on top of the weather?
Yeah, on top. So shout out to him. Hopefully you're okay. Matended. It's matended for mature. Yes, so bye. We'll try not to be offensive. No promises. But yeah, 1 year. We did our 50th. That was kind of a little anniversary thing because 50 is a nice round number. But our 1 year special is actually next week. So hopefully Amazon can get their shit together and get their stuff to me on time. Or we're going to have to scramble for a different idea.
I'll tell you what, as a backup plan, I'll just buy my copy digitally, download it straight to the Switch,
Fair enough.
and then I'll bring mine in case.
Okay, I like your backup plan.
Because I really want to play that game.
Yeah, it needs to happen, especially on a 1 year.
Yeah,
And there may be drinks involved.
and Eric is not allowed to skip.
No.
Alex is going to want to use your Switch if you do that.
We'll talk about it.
So yes, join us next week, of course, for our 1 year anniversary Super Mario Party. 2K unboxing next week. We should do a before we go live an unboxing of that.
You did get the special edition of that, didn't
I
you?
got the Woo edition.
Did.
I almost recorded an unboxing of the Spider-Man.
You should have. I thought you were going to.
I mean, technically I did in 15-second
That
clips.
statue is on a centerpiece on our coffee table right now because we're out of
I'll
shelves.
tell you what, I'll put it all back in the box and record it, and we'll just pretend I did it then.
Yeah, but it's,
Now they know
it's
we're
it's
live.
a few weeks out now. It's no longer trending. But maybe we'll do an unboxing before we go live and have a little preview of that.
I found an unboxing of the Assassin's Creed Origins Collector's Edition that was posted a year after the game came out. So, almost a year.
Well,
excuse
sure.
me.
Am I still giving the super card? Yes, you were the one that asked me first, so you are getting them, Henry. Consider it a belated birthday gift. So yeah. Rob is quiet, so you'll have to yell.
I might turn my mic on very, very low.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
Rabbit just subscribed, so he is watching.
Yay!
Hopefully you're feeling better, and
Yeah.
not all.
Looked like he was
Super
looked like he was
duper.
feeling a little goofy in that.
That image there.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing about when people sub. So thank you for providing us with that face.
It's a great face.
It is. But without further ado, we're going to start this episode off, episode 52. All the good culture with the year that was.
1997.
Woo! I was
Woo!
12.
Which way is
Me
there? It
too.
is. That's how much camera. It's over there.
Oh, I was 12 and Rob was 40.
I was like 50.
And Sarah was
12.
12 as well. Well, there we
I
go.
was already gray.
You were. Rob the Gray. He's like a wizard. So,
It's a weird thing you just said.
there are some things that happened in the year 1997. You were 14. Old man. I was likely injured because Kevin. So some of the notable things, I posted a little poll for people to pick their favorite things from 97. You can head to our Facebook group, Dose of Nerd Acumen, if you want to be involved in that. But I'm going to talk about some of the things that happened, and here are the most notable things that I found noteworthy. Starting off in March of 1997. Unfortunately, Notorious B.I.G. Biggie was killed in a drive-by shooting in L.A. As you can see on the left, Big Sleep. A computer known as ECI publishes a C-source code on Windows 95 and Windows NT exploit. Later becomes WinNuke. The source code gets wide distribution around the internet, and Microsoft is forced to release a security patch. This was a pretty big deal, as you can see on the bottom there. Pretty much wiped out things.
It's so hard to remember the internet that far back. There wasn't much of it.
Well, the thing is, like, it was really coming to fruition, though, in 97. It was becoming in most homes at that point, although it be dial-up, 28 or 56, what is it?
Raise your hand if you had AOL.
AOL, CompuServe, with the 2 liters for that.
Netscape.
Netscape, Juno.
Let's see. What else?
How many discs can you grab from the checkout?
Well, that's ultimately... There's a fun story about the AOL discs, too. They spent an awful lot of money on that risk, and it paid off. But
It did.
one of the things that, for me, especially during this time, is the bottom middle image there. Detroit Red Wings.
Woo!
Being Michigan natives, all of us here, right? We're all from Michigan, right?
I think most of us, yeah.
So, the Red Wings were in a bit of a drought. They hadn't run a lot, hadn't done really well for a long time. I had a journal, a school journal, with a little calendar. I would mark the score of every game during the playoff run and every player who made a goal, culminating in the Stanley Cup victory.
Nice.
I was a very loyal fan. I played sports games more than I played any other games during these few years. NHL Face-Off was one of the series.
My brother
on
played
PS1.
so many hockey games on his Super Nintendo.
Super, okay.
Yeah.
I was on the PS1 because it had awesome graphics. Cool cutscenes, bro. So yeah, that was notable. It was their first championship in 42 years, defeating the Flyers 4-0. So Mike Vernon was awarded the Conn Smythe as the playoff MVP.
Which you can see under the chat that I moved.
Yes. So Vernon was a great goalie. Played for us for many, many years. Another sporting thing. I know this is heavy on the sports, but these are some notable things. Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield. This is the infamous year that he bit off part of his ear.
And there's the picture.
Who does that?
Mike Tyson.
Crazy people do that.
Steve Jobs returned to Apple. Microsoft buys 150 million shares of the troubled Apple company. Yes, the dominant now was once troubled. Look up more history on that on Wikipedia if you're interested. And a couple notable birthdays. Chloe Grace Moretz in the bottom right, and then Tyler Bate, who is a NXT developmental talent for the UK brand right now.
If I can throw one more in there that I noticed earlier, I believe Maisie Williams was born in April of 97, for you Game of Thrones fans.
I am not a Game of Thrones fan. I'm ashamed, and I'll probably get hate mail for that, but I apologize. But that is some notable events. We're gonna get on to our first topic of 1997. We always tend to open with this one here, so welcome back us to the screen. NHL 97 was the best of all time. It was a lot of fun. I did play a lot of that one. The Wings were rated better than the West All-Stars. So wrestling is our first topic. We're going to talk a little bit of wrestling, some memories. Rob, you may have some. Sarah, probably not.
Not so
on the
much.
wrestling. No comment on the Titanic joke?
I don't think...
Did I miss it?
Yeah, I
You
don't
must
think you
have
saw
missed
it.
it. It was probably off screen.
Yeah,
so that people could see
real quick, in case
thingy.
you guys in the chat didn't see it, I enabled a second microphone so that you'll actually be able to hear me when I talk, but I'm still tracking pretty low for mine, so let me know if you guys can hear me at all. I'm trying to keep it kind of low so that it doesn't also pick up Travis and Sarah and you don't get a massive echo
You'll
effect.
bleed over.
Yeah,
we don't want to blow out speakers or ears.
Yeah, keep me posted, guys. But to explain what that was, Not So Silent Bob says, I noticed you didn't vote for Titanic, Travis. It seems to be a trend on this channel.
I voted for Titanic, damn it. The hate will never end on that one.
And Raven also said, hey, I'm older than Rob, so don't be giving him shit about being old. I just want to make sure that was
So
okay.
Speaking of Titanic, and this one's for you, Henry. Happy birthday again. We're doing a bracket challenge, and it was based off a suggestion from you, Henry, in October. So since you brought up Titanic from the bracket challenges, stay tuned. Towards the end of the month in October, we are doing a weekly dosage for horror movies, franchises specifically with the bracket challenge. So we will need your help on that. But getting back on topic here, we're going to talk some wrestling, some Pro Wrestling Illustrated awards for that year. We'll talk about Wrestler of the Year for 1997. It was awarded to none other than Lex Luger. The Tag Team of the Year was the Outsiders. If you don't know who that is, little team of Scott Hall, Kevin Nash.
The bad guy and
Super
Big
Shredder?
Sexy.
Super Shredder, indeed.
True.
Fun fact. Kevin Nash.
That's about all I know
Kevin
about
Nash was Super Shredder. So
He was also in The Punisher.
he was.
And John Wick.
Yep. He had short hair in The Punisher.
And John Wick.
Yeah, well, he's been trending the short hair lately.
We don't know how long his hair was as Super Shredder.
It was long.
Well, we saw his hand.
I was going to say,
the mask.
You only know his hair was long as Super Shredder because he did that in between wrestling gigs. So like, he left with long hair and came back with it. I feel like.
Arokusaki.
It was extensions.
Anyway.
Who said Jesus Christ? Why are we saying Jesus Christ? Jesus Christ was not part of 97. Match of the year went to Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13. This is the infamous shot that they love showing, the face full of blood, the crimson mask, if you will, of Stone Cold. Allowing him to not tap, but pass out. Securing both people involved had dominance leaving this match. Smart booking move. They did things better back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feud of the year went to DDP and Randy Savage. Oh, yeah. Dig it. Most popular wrestler of the year was the Stinger. So we started to see the transition into that black face paint. A lot of it thanks to the interview.
Being so popular.
Well, the Crow version of him.
I know.
So.
I know.
But he was.
Movie.
That is a good movie. He was a moody character now. Yes. He would hide up top and have his baseball bat.
So Raven says, I hear Nash tore his quad as Super Shredder.
Oh, I did not know that.
I don't know if he's being serious or if he's just saying that because anytime you say Nash did, it is effectively tear his quad anymore.
Really?
He wrecked his legs so many times.
Well, it happens when you're that tall. It
Yeah.
doesn't help anything.
I mean, that's what crippled the NWO return in WWE.
I think most people.
Well, that and the alcoholism from Scott Hall.
Again. But
Drinking on a plane.
I think most people would tear a quad ripping down a pier, though.
Well, yeah.
Quad or bicep?
It's true.
Who knows what muscles he was
Anyway.
using. He was really angry.
This is going to go real long if we keep this up.
Most hated wrestler of the year was Bret Hart. Also, comeback of the year was Bret Hart.
I don't have a second image for that. I got lazy.
It's the same. Most improved wrestlers, Ken Shamrock, who transitioned from the UFC, so MMA fighting, to this. Didn't ever care for him, to be honest, but somebody liked him. Most inspirational wrestler, Terry Funk. Rookie of the Year, Prince Iaukea. Lifetime Achievement, Arn Anderson. And the Editor's Award, Bill Alfonso.
I don't know who that dude is at all, but I assume by his
ECW.
photo he was ECW.
Yeah, he always blew his whistle at everybody.
Oh, right
He was a
on.
manager.
Okay.
So, championships. Talk about the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Incoming champion into this year was Hollywood Hogan. Obviously with the NWO. He would drop the belt all the way into the year at August 4th on a Nitro to Lex Luger. So holding it for 8 straight months. Winning it back a few days later at Road Wild. and then dropping it at the end of the year at Starrcade to Sting. So not many transitions that year.
They threw so much trash at Hogan for winning that belt from Luger. Because this picture that I have of him winning it back, like, you can't see it very well right now.
Oh,
they've already started
fans.
talking trash.
They were notorious for throwing
trash.
trash.
There's a Gatorade bottle on the floor.
Yeah,
Go back and watch the '96 one when they formed the NWO.
Oh God,
the amount of trash.
So much garbage. But specifically,
Literal
this
garbage.
one stood out to me a little bit because I actually had to go find this one from a video clip of it. I couldn't find a still image to save my life. And so, like, looking for a good shot, I watched this scene probably for a solid minute and a half. The same 5 seconds over and over again, and just so much garbage.
This, personally, I think, 97 was the last somewhat decent full year of WCW. 98 was a transition in favor of WWF, starting to gain back control. Just because the pure talent that was evolving, you started having DX, The Rock, Mick Foley. I mean, everyone, all these main eventers from the late 90s, early 2000s was mid-carders in 97, 98. So they were making their climbs as the old talent was shipping out,
Right.
and this young talent was taking over. So it was a major transition. And then you're looking at the stars of WCW, they were all the guys from the 80s, early 90s. And
Right.
sure, the NWO did well, but the
Only for a while.
writing and just the inconsistencies and then the politics of that company.
I was gonna say,
Really
I remember them talking about this in the
Monday Night War.
Yeah, you
Monday
watched
Night
that,
War.
which-
Yeah, we sat and watched that together.
Fucking fantastic documentaries.
It's amazing. It's, you know, I wasn't interested in wrestling back then. I was a 15-year-old girl.
Well,
So,
right. But it's cool to
I
see
didn't
the
care. All
stuff
I
you
knew
didn't
is
know.
what a
like-
couple of friends.
Right, you're like, oh, it's a male soap opera. There's so much
had
more to it.
One female friend who was like totally obsessed with Steve Austin, I think, and that's about it. And seriously, she had just wrestling stuff everywhere. Anytime we went to her house, I'm like, why?
I mean, at that point in the 90s, who wasn't obsessed with Steve Austin, though?
Yeah,
98.
it was the highest years of wrestling ratings. It was in the 8 or 9s. Now it's barely breaking 2 and 3.
But
Henry said they were forced to have extra security and cleanup for the NWO.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
I believe that. I really do.
But no, just just how horribly underutilized all their new talent was, and
Well, they didn't know what to do. They were all young. They viewed him as inexperienced. So it's amazing they got
didn't
out
want
of
to
it.
bank on them.
Well, right, and that's just it. It's amazing, honestly. WCW, under the right circumstances in the right direction, should have won the Monday Night Wars. But it was their mistakes that cost them their own war.
The biggest thing was that they stopped innovating once they found the one thing that worked, and they just rode that straight into the ground.
Killed it. Beat a dead horse with it.
Even when they tried to innovate on it, it wasn't.
When you have 35 people in the NWO, and then you have a red and black, and then you have an LWO, and then you have you just kept going and going. It's like, okay, who's not in the NWO?
Well, that's
one
all
person.
And that's
Like,
that was something that they
the NWO
specifically
buying them out. What's going on?
Well, that was
here?
the storyline they did.
That
They
was the
did
storyline,
NWO pay-per-views versus WCW. They did their own invasion angle. It was like,
which was a great idea at the time.
sure, it worked for a short period.
Yeah, but that was specifically something that Jericho talked about in the Jericho-centric episode of the Monday Night War documentary, was about how effectively every WCW show, whether it was Nitro or a pay-per-view, turned into, are you in the NWO yet? And if not, you're going to get the shit kicked out of you all night. Strap in.
Yeah, and that's what it became. Raven says WCW back then is like WWE now, misusing the hell of the cruiserweights.
Agreed.
Indeed, I'm still not in favor of cruiserweights. I think it's ultimately because of the booking. I don't want a separate weight division because it doesn't make sense half the time. When you've had Rey Mysterio, you have Finn Balor as former champions who are clearly cruiserweights.
Yeah.
And Jericho being a cruiserweight in WCW, but then being heavyweight champion in WWE. Like, it just don't have weight classes when it's just a scripted show anyways. Like, this isn't fighting.
Yeah.
Just
Wait.
have
What?
Right. Whoa.
It's
have
still
the,
It's not real?
like, just do the David and Goliath storyline. It works. It's fine.
No, they can pull it off really well as long as they're willing to invest in the storyline.
And that's just it.
Sometimes it's like, there's no way that guy would ever,
right.
ever take down a guy that much bigger than him.
Well, a great example of that right now is Alexa Bliss, Ronda Rousey. We clearly know who would win that fight.
Yeah.
So
I am so terrified half the time watching her whip people around that she's going to rip someone's arm off.
I thought Alicia Fox's sling was legit when she came back after fighting Rousey.
Right?
TNA Aces and Eights without the success. Use that title like the IC title, but still let them fight the rest of the roster like Jericho and the rest. Yeah, I agree. I think they shouldn't be only competing against each other. I would love to see the cruiserweights go against other people. And that's ultimately why I don't like the divisions. But we got to move on to the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. Incoming champion this year was Psycho Sid, dropping it to Shawn Michaels at the Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. It was forfeited then to a knee injury from Michaels, who ultimately started his decline on the main roster. He would be absent from continuous competition shortly after this year. I believe it was early 1998, keeping him out of active roster besides general manager duties for almost 4 years. Mm-hmm. In 2002, he would return to have a feud with Triple H in an unsanctioned match. That's how he would bring him back in. But this was the decline of injuries and really the joke how Shawn Michaels lost his smile. Mm-hmm. The infamous leg break. Yeah, indeed. It was vacated. There was a 4-way elimination match between Stone Cold, The Undertaker, Vader, and Bret Hart at In Your House, which was the name of the pay-per-view events that weren't the main 4 back then. This was In Your House 13, called Final 4. Bret Hart would win the title there. He would hold it for a day, drop it to Psycho Sid on Raw the next night, who would bring it into WrestleMania with a feud with The Undertaker. And Undertaker would obviously pick up that victory at WrestleMania 13, who would hold it until SummerSlam with Shawn Michaels as the guest referee. Bret Hart picking up the win there. Bringing it into one of the most infamous events in the 90s, if not WWE history. November 9th, wrestling history. November 9th, 1997, Montreal, Survivor Series, the Montreal Screwjob. What happened? It's a long story. Let's just say Bret Hart was under a contract negotiation and he was looking to leave to head to WCW. Well, that's what his plan was, and he wanted to defend it here one more time in his home country and then drop it or relinquish it or do whatever, and Vince was not for that. Culminating in Bret tapping out without tapping out, ringing the bell, and Shawn running away with the belt, Vince McMahon getting spit on by Bret Hart, and eventually going backstage to punch him in the face. What? WWE. WWF.
WCW.
That's what Bret did in the ring before he went back.
Oh, yeah, he signed WCW. Yes, went backstage, ultimately punched Vince in the eye. He had a nice shiner the next night. Yep. And then Bret Hart was now in WCW. So that is the infamous Montreal Screwjob. So again, look that up. There's a whole thing on Wikipedia of it. And do yourself a favor.
Of the Monday Night Wars.
Right, a whole episode of the Monday Night Wars documentary. It's not difficult to find information on this. I'm sure I'm already spilling information you didn't know or did know. But if you didn't know, hopefully that was some valuable insight on the event. Some other notable things that happened in wrestling that year. March that year, this is weird because this is such a staple now in how we view wrestling. But March 10th was the first appearance of what we call the Titantron, the big screen on the entrance. Mm-hmm. That wasn't a thing before then. It was a huge Jumbotron, blah, blah, blah. It featured a major part of the segments here. It would also have backstage stuff up there. It would basically showcase interviews, pre-taped segments, and it just expanded the storytelling aspect of the show for the crowd in general and other ways to showcase somebody talking backstage to someone in the ring. So it gave him a brand new platform. Following what you gonna?
Would you say it was a huge improvement over the stage?
Shane jumping off of it is notable, yes. Ridiculously expensive Geritron, $3,000 indeed. Following a steel cage match lost to heavyweight champion Psycho Sid on Monday Night Raw, Bret Hart shoves Vince McMahon to the mat during an in-ring interview after which Hart goes on a profanity-laced tirade, calling out McMahon and Gorilla Monsoon before blaming them and others to perceived injustices he had dealt with in the past few months, before later getting into a shouting match with Stone Cold over their upcoming match at WrestleMania 13. The new Titantron and stage ramp area figure heavily into a full stage brawl between Hart, Psycho Sid, Austin, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, also coming to ringside but limiting his involvement to grabbing a chair. This segment is among key events cited in the start of what we called during that time the Attitude Era. August of that year, Gorilla Monsoon made his final appearance in the role of WWF President, as Sergeant Slaughter is named Commissioner. The title of President, which had been used in storylines only, is retired at this time. Monsoon, who is starting to suffer from failing health, begins making fewer live appearances during the rest of his life. His final came a year and a half later at WrestleMania 15 in 1999, just over 6 months before his death. So he passed away shortly after that in 1999. November, Vince made his last regular lead play-by-play commentary appearance, which, if you didn't know, that's a majority of his roles throughout the 90s on Monday Night Raw, as well as various pay-per-view events. He was the lead announcer for the second hour of Monday Night Raw. Although he was still officially a pro-face objective play-by-play announcer, there were already clear signs of slowly building a heel turn for him. Ultimately, the heel turn happened by accident with the Montreal Screwjob. It became evident throughout the fall due to his interactions with Stone Cold, which we all know their notable rivalry, and the WWF's most popular wrestler at that time. We talked about the Montreal Screwjob that happened there. And then in response to being outed as the catalyst behind the controversial finish to Bret Hart-Shawn Michaels match the previous evening at Survivor Series, online criticism, yes, online, because that was starting to be a thing for wrestling fans, had begun almost immediately after Michaels was declared the winner of the match. McMahon famously states during an in-ring promo, Vince McMahon didn't screw Bret, Bret screwed Bret. So, turned heel and became the evil owner persona. And
Mr. McMahon.
And he still continues to play that character this day. Meanwhile, in WCW, announcers Mike Tenay and Tony Schiavone strongly condemned the actions of McMahon and Michaels, effectively accusing them of double-crossing Hart. So you're talking about another show, a competitor, utilizing this and taking it for their own storyline advantage, especially when they're looking to acquire and are indeed acquiring talent to hopefully elevate him, which unfortunately they didn't. But did Sonny screw Bret? Or did Sonny screw Shawn Michaels?
Shawn seemed to be pretty certain.
Who knows? But with that, we are transitioning into our video games topic of 1997. Woo! If you enjoyed wrestling, you'll be excited to know, though, we are transitioning to a mostly wrestling channel here in November. So if you want to join us for wrestling content going forward, please stick around with our channel, because we're probably going to talk a lot
of wrestling.
Yeah.
Hey,
so we may do
I recognize
stuff.
these brands. Sorry.
These brands, this might be more up your alley. So let's talk about the year that was 1997 in video games. However, before we transition into video games themselves, there's a fun fact about anime that turned into a popular game. Have you ever heard of Pokemon?
Maybe. Sounds familiar.
Do you remember trying to catch, and I believe it was in the arcade only of the first games, Porygon? Because it was a prize with so many tokens, wasn't it?
I don't think I played that early on.
Red and blue.
I mean, I played Red a little bit, but I was never a huge Pokemon guy.
So chat, whether live or in the comments section, let me know. Is that accurate? Was the arcade the only way to get Porygon with the tokens that you won? I can't remember, but I remember wanting to catch Porygon because I thought he was cool. So, a scene from Pokemon anime show based on the highly successful games, obviously, caused 685 Japanese children to have seizures.
This scene specifically, which, by the way, this looks all fluid and smooth, and I'm really proud of it. This is actually just a slideshow of 2 still images.
What does it say? It looks good.
Yeah. Because I actually found a clip of the actual moment in the show, and I didn't want to put it in there because I almost had a seizure. It's intense. Like, it's literally just this moment where they're talking back and where Ash is talking to the Pokemon right now, and it's flipping back and forth between the red and blue, but it's like
Fast, yeah.
It was insanely fast, and it hurt. It literally hurt to watch for the 3 seconds I did. I had to turn it off immediately, which is why I did the slideshow really slow.
Smart there. Let's give all our viewers seizures.
Yes.
Henry confirmed, yes, indeed, the arcade. So awesome that I still remember that.
I did play Red. To this day, Charmander's always my favorite.
It used to be my go-to. I'm more of a...
There are a lot... I have a lot that I really like. They're all adorable. But Charmander has a special place in my heart.
I like yellow version because of Pikachu. Mm-hmm. So with this sequence, it caused Nintendo to make a statement proclaiming the safety of Pokemon games from fear that games that cause a similar effect. The episode is also permanently removed from circulation, and the featured Pokemon in this episode, Porygon, hasn't made an appearance in the Pokemon anime since.
Well, maybe if you didn't give little kids seizures.
685 little kids.
You know what's crazy about that is when I first heard about that, it was one of those like schoolyard rumors, like everybody heard it from somewhere but never knew where it came from or if it was true. But everybody I went to school with, top to bottom, swore it was because of Pikachu.
I mean, that could make sense with the electricity stuff.
Yeah, for like almost a decade, I legitimately thought it was a Pikachu incident. Because, at the time, there was no, just Google it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
News sources weren't that great on the internet at that time.
Well, no.
Yeah, I didn't know which Pokemon it was, but I do remember because my dad always had the news on. So, I remember seeing the news reports about it, about, this episode of the Pokemon cartoon show in Japan that... had flashing lights and gave a bunch of kids seizures.
I don't think I watched them as they aired. I think I found them the year after or something. Mm-hmm. I don't even know how. Might have found it online or through a friend. I was more into playing the game and then collecting the cards. I did watch random episodes at the beginning. I don't remember how. So, let's talk about some notable games, though. These ones that I picked out of the bunch, obviously, there are a lot more games that came out this year. And if I'm missing your game, I'm sorry. Not intentional, but these are the ones that caught my eye. And we're limited on time, so I don't want to list 450 games.
We'd be here all night, guys.
We would be.
Yeah,
but one of the most notable things here, Final Fantasy VII.
Rob, it's your favorite.
What?
Your favorite?
No, did you tune us out?
He just checked out. He left.
I'm doing stuff.
Guys, he doesn't like this one.
I don't hate it. I just don't give a crap about it.
I'm waiting for the chat to say it's either the best here, like we see, or
here we go,
or not.
Trevor says it's the best one.
Majority of people that I know think it's the best.
I think it's just severely overhyped. I don't think it's as good as everybody wants to claim that it is. Personally, I feel 6 is better going backwards, and I feel 8 is better going forwards.
What are your thoughts on the remake?
I definitely don't give a crap about the remake.
I think it's a cash grab. Personally.
Rob's getting really angry about how rarely you're seeing...
Mikey, stop spamming caps.
Oh, Mike, you got hit by Nightbot. Boop. He either really liked it or hated it.
Calm down.
So, I enjoyed playing this one. The thing I didn't enjoy was finding out for the first time to have to put in more than one disc.
Yes.
Speaking of things...
This was 3 discs.
Those were the days.
No, they weren't the days. That was still happening on the 360.
Dual disc PlayStation game.
This was 3 discs.
3.
8 and 9, I think, were 4.
I believe you are correct.
That sounds right.
There were games that were 3 discs on the 360.
Think 8 is 3
Blue
discs.
Dragon, I think, is 4.
Yeah. It's at least
Final Fantasy 13 is 3. Like, it's ridiculous that we're still doing that.
You can get the is it the Chrono Trigger collection?
Chrono.
Which has
Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger. No, Chrono Trigger and 4, which is my favorite.
I've only played the one on the SNES.
Oh shit, that is totally true, Henry. Parasite Eve was multi-disc.
Parasite Eve was? See?
Yeah.
Why was that a thing? It was so crazy that...
Well, because games got good and huge, and CDs couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
It's true.
They wanted to keep going and keep going with the story. And
you want to talk about something else that had capacity issues or expensive issues? So, you probably don't remember this because you weren't buying the games for yourself back then, but cartridges were expensive to make, causing Nintendo to have their prices higher than the $49.99 upwards of $79.99 at Toys R Us for a new game.
I had like 3 games on the N64.
Because they were expensive.
They were.
So $79.99 for this game. Boop. Mario Kart 64. So, where's Eric? He's sick. We killed him. Wow, Jesus. Mario Kart 64. Have you ever played it? Ever heard of it?
Maybe. It looks familiar.
Battle mode with those damn balloons. I put hundreds of hours into on this game. I was not about the racing in this one, but I was all about the battle mode. And to this day, I personally think maybe the GameCube one was close, but this one had the best battle arenas. And since then, they've only done the tracks for battle. They haven't done the arenas since Double Dash. Because I don't believe the Mario Kart Wii had the arenas. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chad. I don't believe so, though.
I think
show just got better.
7 has some sort of arena, but I don't know for sure.
Well, 7 was on the 3DS, right?
I'm trying to remember which ones the kids all play upstairs.
Yeah, 7 is 3DS, I think.
I mean, we're all skipping over the clearly superior Mario Kart game in Double Dash anyway, so...
Well, I talked about Mario. I talked about that one.
He said...
Jesus.
Trevor, I'm going to ask you to calm down.
Y'all are crazy. Our next one, which actually is relevant to the news this week, it's getting a 4K 60 frame per second remaster as part of a double game.
I did not know that.
You didn't know it was 4K?
No. This thing I didn't know
the news?
It was doing it at all. No.
Yeah, coming out, I believe, October, November. Castlevania
David
Symphony of the
told you
Night.
about this.
So, 21 years. It's getting a remaster and a re-release. Look up the information as far as the specifics on it. It's just stuff I've been browsing over this week, so it's relevant to the news right now. But considered to a lot of Castlevania fans, this is the best in the franchise. As we have, well, that was you. Okay, I was going to say it because a lot of people consider that being one of the best in the franchise.
I am absolutely one of those people.
I'm really surprised you haven't run off and pre-ordered it in the last 5 seconds.
He's probably looking it up right now.
Why do you think I was doing all that typing?
So
Anyway.
be on the look for that. It's 2 games. It's that one and then another one I can't recall. It's not the second Symphony of the Night. It's a different one.
I'll have to look it up because I don't know what it would be. Symphony of the Night never actually got a true sequel. It had it was a DS game that also had Alucard as a playable character, but he wasn't the main.
Right, because this is the first one they went away. No, they went away with Simon.
This one is still 2D.
No. I'm saying they went away from Simon before this one as well.
Yeah.
NES is best
so.
Castlevania. I played 4 on Super Nintendo the other night, and I was having fun with it. I hadn't played it since I was a kid, so there are good ones, but this one
This
to
is
me
actually
is
almost the only one I like.
well, it's got a unique gameplay style.
It's very RPG.
Right. Moving on, though, farming simulator game known as Harvest Moon came out, which, if you like farming simulators, this is considered one of the best. Various sequel spin-offs on various handhelds and other consoles.
I got one of the GameCube ones, and I tried it, and I don't.
They weren't all hits.
I was going to say, I don't think this one specifically.
Yeah, this one specifically was fantastic. They had a lot of weird things that they used the name value to make games.
Speaking of things that people view as the best of the best, though.
So this one doesn't hold up well as far as historic value.
No,
and talking about using a name to elevate something, I don't think they realized the success it was going to have. GoldenEye 007 on the N64. Holy crap, did I put a lot of hours into this. And holy crap, at the time, it was an amazing shooter. And holy crap, did I have a lot of Band-Aids on my thumb. Because that joystick is not pleasant. But holy crap, try going back to it and playing it now on the N64 controller. Because it's not easy. And with the rumble packings, pun intended, rumblings, of an N64 classic coming out, I guarantee we don't see this game on there because of licensing, and that is going to bum myself and so many people out. Perfect Dark was better. See, you're wrong.
That's true. You are wrong, Henry. I know it's your birthday, but I'm sorry. My brother My brother tries to say the same things. That Perfect Dark is better, and he's also just plain wrong.
Yeah, I'm not discounting Perfect Dark because it's a
he's
solid
your
game.
Brother, so that's just.
But GoldenEye was better. The soundtrack, the character design, the weapons, the levels, the slappers only. Like, it was a fun game. The weapons, you know, but
there's an argument to be made there. That's a matter of preference.
Yeah, that's a sci-fi game versus a James Bond, so like it's
pseudo sci-fi.
Sure.
Anyway,
but I could go on about the history and the value that this had to my childhood.
Instead, we should just keep talking about sci-fi.
Right. Suitcase Machine Gun. We should. Another franchise that I'm very excited for with its new release, different developer, originated here with Fallout. So PC. Very different game.
So much of 4.
4 is so good. And I hope you're getting 76. Because I need someone to play with. Because this little clown over here, he says he's not.
I said it was on the fence. I said I was.
Well, get off the fence and go to the store.
We'll have at least one copy.
Sarah's effectively demanding it, so.
Good. You and I will play, and we'll start.
If we buy it digitally, then it won't matter. I'll have it either way.
No, you're done. Her and I are starting our own channel.
Okay, well, I'm not paying for it, so I don't know how you're doing it.
Cheers from Henry.
It's okay, I've got a credit card.
See, there you go.
Do you?
So starting in November.
Yes.
Kind of smallish in Gravity Well. Fallout 76. New series. Watch us nuke some bitches.
Gravity of Smallish? Kind of well? Kind of well, because...
Kind of well. I like it.
Because
there we go.
Radiation.
We'll be a little irritated.
Our
we
funding
got
is
cheer.
happening. You got 2 cheers. Hip hip.
Hooray!
Funding started for Sarah to get Fallout 76.
Hold on. Radiation.
What?
Because aliens.
Oh.
You with me now?
No. It's one of those rad roaches just appeared
I
on
get
screen.
Get what you're trying to do, but no.
It was a rad roach.
You see, now I'm just picturing there's that gif of the 3 roaches playing the instruments in Joe's apartment.
Great movie.
Anyway.
Never played Fallout 1, started Fallout 2. I never played 1 or 2. I started with 3 and fell in love with the franchise. So
yeah, I tried a little bit of 3 and a little bit of Vegas, and
they're both
didn't
good.
Really get into it at the time. But then
they're very clunky.
I got really into Skyrim, and that transitions very well over to Fallout 4.
Fallout 4 is so good. Next game I played a lot of, which developed into a major franchise. I believe one of the best-selling franchises of all time, and that is Grand Theft Auto. Very different game back then, 1 and 2, bird's eye view.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. The offense and the origin and the roots of the game was still there, and it was amazing to see all the stuff they instilled. If you were to go back to it, you'd be like, the radio was there, the Laszlo character, all the different personalities and gimmicks of it with a very limited graphic style and very low budget. The overhead Z car, yeah. The gangs, the different factions. They even did a London version of the game. Like this.
It was technically just an add-on for the first game, I think.
For 2.
Or was it for 2?
Yeah, I think it was 2.
It was an add-on at the point, technically.
Right. These games were great, and ultimately when 3 came out, it's like, okay, I see where this was inspired and the technical limitations. But if you get a chance, I still have my PS1 copies of these games. It's worthwhile to check out and mess around with. Could be a cool stream sometime too. Next game, Punch Punch Kick Kick. It's all in the mix. We got a little Parappa the Rapper. Getting a remaster. Did that come out already and not do well?
I think it did.
I wanted to play it because I played a lot of this when I was a kid as well. It was fun. It was music games with the button prompts before music games were a popular genre. So it was a little bit for its time. But it was a neat, short, quirky kind of game. It fit with the time. It has a little, beanie. A sequel to a very successful game that came out the year prior, Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back, making improvements upon the game design as well as the level and character control. It was a good sequel. Naughty Dog obviously being a successful developer there. You may know them for the Uncharted series.
Uncharted,
Last of Us.
Jack and Daxter.
Jack and Daxter, yeah.
I love Jack and Daxter.
So, fun fact about that Parappa remaster. Apparently it came out last year in April, making it 20 years.
I think that's probably why they did it.
Yeah.
So our next sequel that came out this year as well was Tomb Raider 2. So the first was a hit, and this was continuing off the hit, making, again, slight improvements to things within the game. I played these back in the day. It was after this one was when the decline started happening. 3 was okay, and then after that it was just...
all downhill.
All downhill. So Mario Kart was a big success, and they wanted to capitalize with another racer, Diddy Kong Racing.
Which a lot of people argue is superior to Mario
A
Kart.
lot of people do because of the vehicle design and the variety of the courses was better.
And the fact that they had an actual story mode, apparently?
That I don't remember.
I didn't either, but weirdly I read an article recently that happened to include Diddy Kong Racing, and it talked extensively about how there were like objectives and there was certain stuff you could only unlock by finishing the story mode and finding these hidden collectibles and stuff, and I was like, huh, how about that?
I remember the collectibles. My solution was, well, crap, which one do I get?
Mario Kart,
Both.
you know.
Both.
Yeah. My sister swears up and down that we had this, but I don't think we did.
I didn't own this. I think I
We
borrowed
had
it
Donkey
from a friend.
Kong Country.
See, I didn't have
which
that on the
was-
64 either.
You had to have the expansion pack for that.
There was another game that required it, and I had the expansion pack, but I don't remember which game it was for. Maybe Pokemon Snap. Remember that game?
It was
Maybe
a
I
pack-in
had that
for,
one.
It was a pack-in for a game, and I don't remember what game it was.
GoldenEye? No. I don't know.
Anyway,
Our next notable game, which a lot of people will praise, WCW versus NWO World Tour. This was a fantastic wrestling game, especially for the time with the limitations. THQ, rest in peace, was a great developer, and it was one of the early rumblings of their wrestling game takeover. They produced wrestling games for many, many years, and this was in their early days. This game was a lot of fun. Backstage, weapons matches, it had it all.
Is this the one you guys pulled out not that long ago when we're playing, or is that a different one?
Us as DNA or them?
Him and other people?
no,
No.
maybe. I don't know. No,
Probably No Mercy. Or,
WrestleMania 2000.
yeah, I was going to say WrestleMania 2000.
I think it was No Mercy.
I
and
have
No
one, if
Mercy.
not both of those.
Those are later on in the life cycle of the N64. This being one of the earlier ones for the wrestling games.
Yeah, the 3 games that required it were Majora's Mask, Donkey Kong 64, and Perfect Dark.
It was probably Perfect Dark. I got mine then. Two things that happened this year from Sega. They announced that the Sega Mega Drive, aka the Genesis, and the Sega Game Gear were discontinued.
There are 3 consoles in that picture because one is the Mega Drive, the other is the Genesis, and the last one's the Game Gear. Because the consoles actually did look different.
Well, the Genesis on the top there, and then on the right, that
Top
was
right.
the
That was the American Genesis.
the
Top left is the Mega Drive. It actually says Mega Drive on it.
My Genesis looked like that one though. My original. So I have original launch Genesis. I had original launch Genesis.
There were actually
Because that's the
apparently
Genesis mini. There's like 3 different Genesises.
3, yes. The third one looks much more similar to the toaster model of the NES. The top loader. It was very weird. I looked it up on a whim. I didn't grab a picture of it, but
Of course, the Game Gear, the freaking battery drainer. 6 AA's, I think it was. It's crazy. Yep, that's the one I had.
that actually says Mega Drive on it right in the front.
Right, mine didn't say Mega Drive. It said the Genesis on the top, behind where the cartridge was.
My uncle had one, but it didn't have the pink trim. But the design was otherwise exactly
Mine was a
the
red.
same.
I was gonna say that looks more like
Mine
it's
had the
probably
volume bar
red.
slider, which they eventually removed. The
Because
headphone
it had a
jack.
headphone jack, yeah.
Yep, they eventually removed that. I miss my Genesis. Good system.
I'll give you one of mine.
You have multiple?
Yeah.
He sent, didn't he send
I
you
sent
that
you
picture?
You
Got
did. You have multiple.
A lot of things.
Yeah.
I got
I'm gonna go shopping at your house.
3 of those Genesis. I think I've got
Sarah's like, I encourage it, please.
at least 1, if not 2
No,
Sega
a couple
CDs.
of those things in there are mine.
Well,
I think we only have 1 Sega CD. I don't think we have a 32X.
32X is garbage anyway, so.
You had another one that you gave to someone, I think.
Probably one of the Dreamcasts.
No,
I fired
it was
that
a
up the
Sega
other
CD.
weekend.
Yeah.
Dreamcast, yeah. It's a lot of fun. Shout out to Rob, other Rob, if you're watching. We played some Dreamcast. Let's talk television, though.
I'm here for 2 seconds. Bye.
Talk some notable things that debuted. Some debuts.
D-Boots.
Damn it, Bobby. King of the Hill. God, I loved that show.
I still love that show.
This show comes on at 8 o'clock on Cartoon Network, so it rolls over from all of the kids' shows into this, and we'll sit and watch it and forget to go to bed sometimes.
I tried to never miss an episode of the show because I loved it so much. And let me tell you a fun, quick story.
I have it on Plex.
I'm sure you do. I'm a collector of physical media. They started releasing television shows in the late 90s on DVD. This is a popular trend that became a complete trend. Everything gets put on Blu-ray DVD now. Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing. Fox distribution of their DVDs, they started putting out seasons 1 through, I want to say 6 of King of the Hill, right? Mm-hmm. Just like they did with Simpsons after season 16 or 17, they're like, well, our sales are declining and we don't want to consider a profit loss, even though it's incredibly cheap to print a goddamn DVD. They stopped putting out King of the Hill on DVD after season 6, and there were 13 seasons. What the heck am I going to do with 6 seasons and not the rest of the show?
That is so rude.
I think it was like 8 years went by with nothing. Fans demanding it come back, willing to do it. They eventually put some stuff on iTunes and other digital things. I'm like, I want physical media. I don't want to...
Fox has really made some questionable choices,
bad choices
over the year.
But 8 years went by. 4 years ago now, they put the remaining seasons out. Fox didn't. They hired another company, and another company put them out. So I finally, after all this time, own every season of King of the Hill. The Simpsons stopped this for 2 or 3 years as well, after season 17. They are now releasing the seasons back out on DVD, thankfully. So my collection can continue, but let me tell you, as a collector, having gaps like that,
that kind of stuff hurts.
very frustrating, and it makes me almost want to be like, fuck it, I just don't want to own it then and just sell it. But I'm glad I didn't, because
I have a couple of shows where I still am missing like a season or two, just because, by the time I got to that point, like, I was out of money.
Well, right, that's the other thing. It's expensive to be a collector. And TV shows, when they first came out, were not cheap.
You had to pay like
$50,
$50,
yeah.
something like that per season. The nice thing is you had a little bit of a gap, but if you wanted more than one show in your collection.
Right. One of the most expensive ones was Star Trek. Those were in the hundreds of dollars for seasons of that show.
Yeah. They came in really fancy cases,
They did come in real nice cases. But the problem with media is, media improves. Mm-hmm. And then you have to buy the collections again. Damn it, Bobby. 7 a.m. and already that DVD set ain't right. Moving on, though, talking about The Simpsons, let's talk about them. On Fox, The Simpsons aired the episode The Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie Show. With this episode, The Simpsons surpassed the Flintstones.
Flintstones.
Well, it depends on Berenstain or Berenstein.
Berenstein.
One of them is right, the other one's not.
Right. As the longest-running primetime animated series in terms of episodes aired, and to this day, The Simpsons are still going. Star Trek is still kind of costly. Indeed, it is. But just because there's so many damn episodes. Toonami. Do you remember Toonami?
Ouch.
No, not cancel Simpsons. Cancel South Park.
Cancel them both.
No, but that's the hashtag.
I know, but they need to start trending the cancel
when you say,
Simpsons.
do you remember Toonami? I assume we're talking classic Toonami here.
Yes.
Which was... I'm not saying today's Toonami is garbage. The old
it's not the same.
The old lineups were amazing. I got mad if I didn't get home from school on time.
What was your favorite?
My favorite lineup? Mm-hmm. It was it got way more saturated. Sorry. I'm sorry, brain fart. They started putting in way more anime at the time. This Toonami is what got me into anime. So I think the lineup, my favorite lineup, had Dragon Ball Z, Gundam Wing, Sailor Moon, and Ronin Warriors.
I was going to say, that's the classics as far as people who our age, they're entry level into anime. At least localized.
Yeah.
Sailor Moon was my first series.
When I first started watching, I think The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest were still on there, though.
Fucking racist show. Jesus.
Wait, hey, it was
that
no,
the
it was better.
Or was that the rebooted one?
It was
that
the
was the rebooted one.
Real Adventures the reboot.
That was the one that had the redheaded girl.
Yeah, I was gonna say Race had the
Race's daughter or something.
Yeah.
Or was it his red-headed stepchild?
No, that was Johnny.
We don't know who.
I'm sorry, that was Haji.
He wasn't a redhead.
This next one on the WB will probably excite a few of our viewers. Buffy, the Vampire Slayer.
See, I was not into that show at the time it aired. I didn't get into it until much later.
I was into the star of the show.
Luckily, I had access to Rob's collection because he had it all on DVD, and I went through that entire show in like a month or two.
Also,
what are you showing me? Oh, you have the Japanese version.
I have the original and the Japanese, which you can't get dual audio because they butchered the shit out of that show to put it on American TV.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Crocodile Hunter. This was a show that this was amazing as kids.
Yeah.
But crikey, just put my thumb right up.
That'll really piss him off.
Hashtag cancel the stingrays.
Oh,
wow.
That one stings.
That's genocide.
That one stings.
Look, man, they took a precious treasure from us.
I'm really sad that Eric's not
cartoon.
here for this because he would be pretty excited about this. So that was
would
for
be.
you. Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken.
You see they're talking about doing a
I Am Weasel.
Johnny Bravo.
I Are Baboon. Who's going to play it? John Cena?
That is what I've heard.
Oh, God. Just stop it.
Cartoon. It was...
Cartoon.
I
Dexter's
think
Lab,
I was at the
Powerpuff
point
Girls.
here where I was starting to be like...
I'm too old
Some
for
of
this.
this is just so stupid.
Oh, I was at the
But-
point where, like, this is what I'm doing on Friday nights.
But you couldn't stop watching.
Cow
Oh, it
and
was
Chicken
amazing.
was terrible. It was the weakest link in the group.
Mama had a cow.
But I Am Weasel.
Dad was
totally
proud. He
made
didn't
up for
care
it.
how. Stupid. Okay, so let me tell you a fun fact about this next show. 12-year-old little boy. Offensive cartoon. Very much excited to go to the video store and rent the 2-episode VHS tapes so I could have them playing on my big giant...
Really? Only 2 episodes?
Yeah, they
Gosh,
put...
They really capitalized on that.
Oh, they did. Yeah, 2
Most
episodes
things had
on
at
tape.
least 3.
And maybe it was 3. I recall 2.
Pretty sure it was two.
But I remember my mom like doing something in the kitchen, having me watch this, so she's hearing it in the background, and just being like, "What the hell is this show?" And indeed, what is this show? This show debuted.
They're just kids, Mom. It's okay.
Well, that's how I defended it. What is the show, you ask? South Park. Still one of my favorites to this day.
And still going.
It is still going with multiple great video games, including South Park 64. So much fun. The pea snowballs. So amazing.
Oh.
So good.
We should do a whole South Park centric episode sometime. We did do Fractured briefly.
We could. I think we have.
Stick, 64, Love Shack, Racing.
I want to do Love Shack so bad. I can't find a copy of that game though. Okay. So our last show on this list is one that this is for Caleb. Shout out, buddy. Recess. He came dressed as him and his wife came dressed as characters from the show a few Halloweens back.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
real cool costume. So shout out to you. I know you like the show, buddy. So I put it on the list for you. I watched it, but I wasn't like an active fan of it, so I couldn't tell you a lot about it.
Why are you over there trying to cancel everything in the name of the channel?
Okay, no, the hashtag cancel South Park is actually
It's legit.
South Park's.
Like they put that
They
out.
air it at the end of their own episodes now.
So what we should do at the end of ours is hashtag cancel DNA. Stop making us put out episodes every week. This is tiring. I want to go on vacation. Let's talk about film, though.
Oh,
He's back and then he's gone.
Bye-bye.
So our next topic of the evening here, moving right along, film. We're going to go through the top 10 list, starting at the number 1 grossing film of the year. Shout out to Andrew, who couldn't be here for this episode. She finally is going to get her moment, and she's not involved. The number 1 grossing film, almost tripling, well, indeed tripling, the second place film. I had to look at basic math there. Worldwide gross, almost $2 billion. At this time, it was the number 1 movie of all time. Now it's taking the 3rd or 4th place seat.
It's still sitting up there, though.
Oh, it's still gonna, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's not gonna sink to the bottom. It's Titanic.
Hashtag horrible puns.
Indeed. I've seen this movie 2 or 3 times in theaters. I even saw it not recent now, a few years back, the 3D re-release.
It was a 3D re-release.
It was, because it was so good in 3D.
They want you to feel like you are going down.
No. Let me tell you, the 3D remaster and what they did to it was impressive. They have certain sequences, most notably with the corridors, and then certain like framed room shots where they're in the dining halls and various things. Mm-hmm. Like you truly can tell the depth of that room. It looks like, the screen goes back like it's a stage. Like they did a fantastic job with redoing it into 3D. And I'm not going to deny the fact that I did get a little, misty-eyed during the movie.
Yeah, I'm also sad that she couldn't scoop the fuck over.
It's a good movie, and I don't care what anyone says. So, I enjoy it. They did a fantastic job with...
Leo!
It's true.
Alright.
Our number 2 movie that year was The Lost World Jurassic Park.
I wish that would get lost.
I felt my first boob to this film.
No wonder you like Jurassic Park so much.
I think they were speaking of Titanic. Yeah. Weird.
I don't think this is a thing you can really take a political stance on, Redbeard. Titanic wasn't a political statement. It was a
historical event. Yeah.
The movie was a historical farce.
Well, sure. Okay, I was waiting for this when the book was better.
All that really happened, guys.
For like a split second, I thought he was talking about Titanic.
No, the book was better.
Alright, I'm done. I'm sorry.
One of Andrea's aunts got mad because somebody spoiled the ending of Titanic. That's true. These are facts. Yeah, see, a lot of people agree. The book was better. I can't hate on any of the Jurassic Park films. I'm going to be very biased here. They are, to me, near perfection. I'm obsessed with dinosaurs. I'm obsessed with the Jurassic Park films.
The first movie is phenomenal. The second one is barely tolerable. The third one should not have even existed.
No, it has cool moments.
Which maybe I have it backwards. Which one is one where the Tyrannosaur comes to New York?
Second one.
That's
It's
2?
the second one.
2 was garbage. 3 was okay.
Hey, that one was Ian Malcolm-centric. And
Well,
that
I
was
know,
great.
and I thought going into it that would be awesome. Jeff Goldblum was a
The cast for that was...
The cast was good.
Phenomenal.
The cast was amazing. Vince Vaughn and...
Except for the little girl. She drove me
what's
crazy.
her face? The redhead.
Oh.
His girlfriend.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of her name.
She's somewhat big.
She was upset someone spoiled the ship sank. Yes, indeed. She was upset that the ship sinking was spoiled.
Okay, yeah, no, he did make a valid point in asking that question because realistically,
there's a lot.
I could see somebody getting mad about the Leo and the necklace getting spoiled because that's BS, like movie magic shit. But
yeah.
So I had Disney Adventure magazine as a kid, and they interviewed the.
Trevor, you're making me sad all over again.
The Brontosaurus could swim. Sad feels. I had Disney Adventure magazine. The little girl was interviewed for her upcoming role in the Lost World movie, and just something about her drove me crazy. I did not like her. Autofocus, unfocus, camera focus. Thank you.
His camera can't figure out where it wants to be.
hold still.
So yeah, on that topic, I'm gonna be okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna be biased on it, and I liked it. And of course, the argument where the book was better, that can be said for almost everything, because it's your literal interpretation through what you're reading as opposed to what you're being stuck with seeing and the limitations of technology of what they can do and time constraints. So yes, of course, in majority of situations the book is going to be better, so I can't argue that.
I have to add these to my list because I've never read any of those.
I read the first one.
I have a gold bound book of the first and Lost World.
Nice.
And it's the best $25 spent. Moving on to our third film here, which is a classic, and I hear they're not technically rebooting it, but they're making another without the original cast. Men in Black, and it's going to be God, I forgot who they cast. They cast the actor that plays Thor and some female.
Chris Hemsworth.
Yes,
and someone.
Crimson's. Thor and some. What's her name? Oh my goodness. But they said it's not a remake, but rather than in the universe of Men in Black.
Rebecca Ferguson.
Okay.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know that
I
name.
just Googled it.
I'd have to see a picture.
Agent HMO.
What?
I'm looking at the IMDb cast list, and it's literally the first person listed is Rebecca Ferguson, no character name. And then in order, you've got Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson, and Emma Thompson as agents H, M, and O. That just is completely the order that they're in.
That's funny.
Oh, Liam Neeson's going to be in it, though. And Kumail Nanjiani.
Oh, God, he's not in a movie where someone kidnaps his kid?
Well, I mean,
we don't know that yet.
Oh, God, that's the major plot line? Like an alien kidnaps his kid. Oh, no. I'm done with Liam Neeson. I'm done. Oh, Jesus.
I love this movie, though. Still love this
Men in Black's fantastic. The first one's amazing. I liked all three of them, to be
very
honest.
early
But
in Will Smith's being awesome on film career.
Yeah.
Relatively early, I should say.
Well, Independence Day was the year prior.
I never saw the third one, I don't think.
Back in Time?
The first two.
Had, who was it, Pitbull? Who did the soundtrack?
Was Josh Brolin in that one?
Yes.
Yes.
As young age?
Yes. I liked it. You should watch it.
K.
I've seen pieces.
Young
K, sorry.
Young K, yeah.
Get your letters right.
And, you know, one of my favorite parts
K.
is the pug. The pug that he shakes.
My
the
gosh.
pug is awesome. He's the best part of the franchise.
Yeah.
For me.
Frankie.
Yeah. So good.
And
Hey, Kat, what are you doing? What's wrong with you?
relax, young lady. And, of course, that cameo by Monk.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Oh
his
my
name.
gosh. Adrian Brody. No.
Adrian Brody?
No.
Adrian.
So far off.
Not Adrian. He's Adrian and He's Adrian Monk. I'm just gonna go to
Tony
bed, guys.
Shalhoub.
I'll see you later.
Tony Shalhoub.
You are Rabbit. What is it with that chair?
Next, she's gonna have to pee.
Jesus.
No, I'm okay.
Anyway.
I'll stay here.
Coming back as somewhat smallish. Tomorrow Never Dies is our fourth entry
You
here.
killed my pun. I was gonna say we never let that joke about Rabbit peeing die. Speaking of things that never die.
Tomorrow Never Died. Not one of the great Bond films.
No. Basically anything post GoldenEye is suspect until you get to Daniel Craig.
That's completely accurate.
You know it's not suspect.
These Air Force Ones.
Oh, Harrison Ford.
This was an okay movie.
He was a suspect, just not in this movie.
Yeah, this was an okay movie. Harrison Ford did a lot. There was a lot of these weird action movies that were happening in the 90s.
Isn't Air Force One part of the Jack Ryan series?
I couldn't tell you.
I think
Trevor, help me out. You gave me that list the other day.
Get off my plane.
That is the quotable line from this movie.
But hey, at least he wasn't saying it to the snakes.
Yeah, Snakes on a Plane. That was. So
no ticket.
we thought this. You know, if you
there's a
thought
great
this movie was good, it's not as good as it gets.
Oh, was it, Kevin? I thought you did it. Anyway.
But this is as good as it gets. I didn't care for this movie.
It was okay. It was weird.
It's not for me.
I mean, they weren't the most straightforward characters, so.
The actors are fine. Jack Nicholson, obviously. Helen Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Greg Kinnear.
He was in a lot of weird movies during this period, and they were all actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought so.
I mean, if you're wrong, I'd call you a liar, liar.
Haha, you
Pants on fire. Which is our 7th
son of a bitch.
on this list. Did you forget it?
No, I just didn't notice that it didn't. Give me a sec.
It didn't give you a sec?
No, fucking.
1 second.
I don't know why, but if the file extension for an image is capitalized, it just straight up won't do it.
Oh.
And so.
Rob, what are you doing? I'm kicking my ass. Do you mind?
Yeah. Anyway, it was the file was capitalized. I don't know.
This movie's, Jim Carrey during the mid-90s, so quotable.
Yes.
Such good stuff. He ultimately fell for many, many years victim of what Adam Sandler fell into. Bad movies. But these guys, Adam Sandler, Jim Carrey, they were knocking out of the park in their films in the 90s. Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, Clear Present Danger, some of yes. The pen is
the color of the pen that I hold in my hand is royal blue.
Such a good film.
I do that all the time. I'll pick up a blue pen and I'll say that.
Are you alone? What are you doing? Just like, no one's here.
No, not always.
Oh, even more
I
awkward.
get funny looks occasionally, and I don't care.
You're just at the library.
The librarian's like,
You know, summer's over. That means wedding season is over. And we don't have to go to my best friend's wedding. Forced segues.
I don't hate this movie, but I sure don't love it.
Yeah, it's a movie that exists. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it again.
I actually really liked a lot of Julia Roberts' movies. And that's why I saw this.
She's okay. Wasn't she in Hook? Wasn't she Tinkerbell?
Yes.
Okay. Which was around this time. A movie that I absolutely adore, and I'm actually surprised to see that it did so well as far as gross, because it's a sci-fi film, but ultimately one of my favorite sci-fi films of all time. That being The Fifth Element. Multi-pass.
it doesn't matter what I'm doing at the time. If I happen to turn on the TV and this is playing, I don't change the channel. I will sit down and watch no matter where it is in the movie.
The cast though, like Gary Oldman, obviously he's had a fantastic run of films. Bruce Willis, one of the best action stars of all time.
You will never convince me that those people who shave half their heads nowadays aren't trying to
pull that trend. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to be an old man.
And obviously Mia Jovovich. I love her in the Resident Evil films. She's obviously done many, many other things. But this started my ultimate boy crush towards her as an actress. And this was one of her early roles too. Our 10th and final on the top 10, The Full Monty.
Never seen it.
Oh, I don't know. We haven't
That's
really.
why he's bothering me.
Oh, gotcha. We haven't really figured it out. The Full Monty. It is what it is.
It's a movie about going full pickle.
Fun, real quick fact I forgot to say. Fifth Element was one of the films I had on Laserdisc.
I actually think I have it on Laserdisc.
Do you?
I'm reasonably positive. Fifth Element.
In it. We didn't mention Ruby Rod. You should be.
I haven't dug through that bag in a while.
Corbin, my main man. Ruby Rod. I don't want one position. I want all positions. Yes, it's such a good quote movie. We could probably do a full episode on the Fifth Element.
Everything is super green, guys.
So, some fun facts. The original Star Wars trilogy special editions are released. A lot of people were pissed about this because they changed things, including explosions, effects, various things. Production began on Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Titanic became the first film to gross over $1 billion at the box office, making it the highest grossing film in history until Avatar broke the record in 2010. The Lost World Jurassic Park grossed a record $90 million on Memorial Day weekend. Universal Pictures unveiled a new opening logo after 7 years of the previous one, and Lost World was the first film to use this logo, the official logo, and music was composed by Jerry Goldsmith and was used until February 24th, 2012. Let's talk about some notable films, though, that came out this year. Maybe some that you liked, maybe some you didn't. Chime in if you find anything you care about. So, did you make a collage for this, or?
I did.
All right, let's check it out. So, I have it in a somewhat specific order.
Okay, I'm turning off the chat for a minute, you guys.
Okay. So, we're going to talk about disaster films. This was becoming a huge trend in the 90s, obviously Independence Day being one of the higher budget ones. Dante's Peak was trying to capitalize on that success.
I actually really enjoy this movie.
Which one, Dante's Peak?
Yeah, it's got plot holes and everything, but it's.
Well, I mean, you're running from a volcano.
My dad likes to complain about the part where they're escaping across the lake, and
Grandma on the boat.
The motor burns out because there's such a high level of acidity in the water. So Grandma jumps out of the boat to push them the last few feet to shore.
Well, she burns up. Her legs burn up.
Because, apparently the lake is just pure acid.
I mean, Anakin lost both his legs and his arms, and he walked away.
Well, he didn't, though.
Now, it would have been great if the grandma was yelled at by Pierce Brosnan saying that he has the higher ground. And then yells at grandma and says, "You were the chosen one." By the volcano. Bitch! Anyways, one of Andrew's favorites here. Probably not. Jungle to Jungle. Did you ever see it?
I went looking for this not that long ago to see if I could find it like on demand or something. Because I was like,
Hard to find.
I remember that movie. That was a good. There's, it's interesting.
On TV all the time around the holidays.
Oh yeah.
I always see it on TV.
It's really interesting. There's a select few movies here and there that Disney made, and you'd think Disney movies you find them anywhere, but they've got their stupid vault.
Yep, they got their stuff on lockdown. Well,
if they don't want people, actively watching it.
Let me tell you one that was really difficult to find. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I had a hard time finding that for a while.
Which really surprises me considering how few things Rick Moranis did.
Well, that's what I think it is, because he's just not involved anymore. They just kind of shelved a lot of his stuff.
He left Hollywood after his wife died.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Which you would think he would push to be like, no, keep my shit in circulation so I get royalties, y'all.
You know what's not hard to find? Private Parts. Oh.
I mean, if you can't find them.
You got another conversation to be had. Howard Stern was an offensive radio comic. Still is. And this was probably at the height of his success, if you call that a success. His show was fine. Like, I watched his show periodically just because it was risque content, and for my age demographic,
it might see a boobie.
Right. It was well, even though you never would, I found it appealing. Turbo, the Power Rangers movie, which ultimately segued out the last remaining characters that I cared about. Mm-hmm. And that, at that point, was the last time I truly cared about Power Rangers.
Samesies.
Which, it was a good four-year run for my interest. So, and back then, that's a good chunk of your life. Mm-hmm. So, Chasing Amy, really good film. Great director, good cast. Anaconda, good God, was this movie terrible, but it was so...
I don't want
They
none.
kept making more of them. They didn't get better.
No.
I feel like we said everything we needed to say with the first one. The conversation should have ended before that movie hit theaters.
How about you just stay out of the damn jungle?
This movie's fun to see when it comes on TV.
Oh my
Michelle's
gosh.
High School Reunion.
It's so much fun. My sister and I used to watch this one all the time.
It gets better with age, too, because you start to relate to the comedy.
It does.
It's sad.
It's great. Especially because it's the song Time After Time.
Yep.
That
Time
song
After Time.
was in so many TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
At their prom or at a wedding, or someone was dancing to that song at some point in the show. They had it in Smallville, and I just laughed.
Speaking of the disaster films, we got more here. Volcano.
Speaking of Volcano.
Yeah,
Hey, you look, they're right on top of each other.
It's not as great, right? So fitting.
They were
Austin
both on
Powers.
the West Coast, too, actually.
Well, I mean, that's the fault line.
Yeah.
Austin Powers, this being the best of them, in my opinion.
That's the first one, yeah. Mm-hmm. See, I only ever saw the second one. I never saw...
Do yourself a favor.
Or wait, no, was it the second one? The third one. I only ever saw the third one.
Third one had Beyonce.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one was on TV the other day. We watched at least part of it.
I didn't.
It's because you never put your goddamn cell phone down.
A guilty pleasure.
I wasn't there.
A guilty pleasure film. Con Air.
There's no guilt with this pleasure. I
Put
straight
the
up
bunny
back in the
down.
box. Why couldn't you just put the bunny back in the box?
Hashtag John Malkovich can't act.
Whoa. What's your dislike for John Malkovich?
Her and her dad.
Is he just being John Malkovich?
Listen. Hey.
You're welcome.
You leave Cyrus the Virus alone.
Look, my sticking point with John Malkovich really boils down to what is actually one of my favorite movies.
Man in the Iron Mask.
Man in the Iron Mask.
Okay.
His acting in that is terrible.
It is pretty bad. I have to be honest.
I don't know if someone was holding a gun to his head off screen or what.
The sequence with Steve Buscemi sitting having the tea party with the little girl is still gut-wrenching to this day. Con Air, though, and this, I will be the first to admit I am not a fan of Nicolas Cage. The majority of his work I dislike. There's very few films.
Con Air is a solid piece of cinema, though.
Con Air is still great. I enjoy it.
It's a really fun movie.
You know what movie is not great, though? Batman and Robin is far from great. Introducing Batgirl, the cod pieces, the endless puns with Mr. Freeze.
The dick shots.
The only saving grace here was Uma Thurman. The only thing. The Bat credit card sequence, yes, that was bad. The Bat nipples.
Oh my gosh.
The film was just pure and utter garbage.
Chris O'Donnell would have been a great Robin in another circumstance, though.
Oh,
he was a good Robin in Batman Forever.
Was anything good in Batman Forever? Because
there
the answer to that is no.
Look, I like that one. You knock it off.
The Riddler was good, okay?
Jim Carrey played a really good Riddler.
He was adequately manic. I will absolutely give you that.
He was good. You know what was also good? Good Burger.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order, please?
So bad, but yet so part of our childhood.
I loved, what was it called? All That? That's what this spun off of.
Yep.
I loved that show. I missed that show.
It was fantastic. That's definitely, if you want to talk about the defining, years of television for our childhood.
Who loves
it definitely spawned what we would enjoy later in life. And speaking of Spawn, they are doing another one.
I don't know how to feel. The first one was not good.
Yeah, I don't think there's a need for it, to be honest. I think the new one will come and go.
I feel like if they don't do what they're doing with Venom and make it a PG-13 hero movie...
Oh, they've already screwed up Venom with doing a PG-13.
Yeah. I was so hyped for that movie when the first trailers were starting to come out because they started showing all those sequences where he's like licking dudes and then like it does the jump cut to avoid showing him bite a guy's head literally off. And I'm like, oh my god, they're just going to go full Venom. This is going to be great. And then it came out that it was PG-13 and then it's like, no, those jump cuts are what we're getting in the movie. I'm out.
Yep. Raven says Spawn wasn't that bad. It was
not good.
It was not great.
No, really, though, I don't understand how you can even consider making a Venom-centric movie that's only PG-13.
Yeah, that was...
we got way off topic there, though. The point is, I feel like there's definitely room in today's market with the success of shit like Logan and Deadpool.
Logan was great.
Spawn.
Yeah, Logan was
Spawn
great.
would absolutely... Like, now is the time.
Yeah, pull the trigger. Just do it.
Right.
Yeah, just do it.
Don't PG-13 this shit.
Mikey wants to go back to this time. It was a great year indeed for film. We'll continue on through here. Event Horizon, still one of the scariest space horror films to this day.
I don't think I ever saw that one.
So good. Do yourself a favor and watch that one. Seriously.
I have so many things to watch now.
You haven't seen it either?
Event Horizon?
Yeah.
No.
You should do yourself a favor. I highly insist. So many nightmares, see? It's so good. I Know What You Did Last Summer. The summer classics like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, these kind of campy, the slasher movies making a comeback. I liked them. They're not bad. Starship Troopers. This has a cult following to this day, and the only notable thing I recall at 12 years old is having my father take me to this and sitting a few rows in front of me and having myself a few back with a friend, him turning around during a certain sequence saying, "Hey, boy, you like that?"
Talking about when Dizzy got him out in the shower?
Oh, yeah, the co-ed shower sequence.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm like, that's a lot of boobs. Alien Resurrection came out this year, which is not a great entry in the Alien franchise, but not as bad as Alien 3.
Oh, my God.
Flubber, you remember that movie?
Apparently, Mikey wanted to be Johnny Rico when he grew up.
Casper Van Dien should have taken off after that movie, and he did not, and it makes me sad.
Yeah, Flubber was all right.
He was not in Flubber. He was in Starship Troopers.
No,
Flubber, I never actually saw the whole movie, which really surprises me looking back on it because it's Robin Williams. But I've only ever seen the movie in chunks.
Yeah, it is something.
It was a fun movie as a kid. It really was. I think that was a good remake.
Goodwill.
That was a remake back when remakes were okay.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, Flubber was a remake.
Now everything's a remake, guys.
Of
I'm sorry.
remake of a remake. Mm-hmm. Goodwill Hunting.
Won all the awards.
Yeah, I was going to say it took everything home.
I've never seen the whole movie in one go.
I was going to say, I've never seen it all the way through.
This movie we went on a field trip for, because randomly for every, like, if you got good grades or if you made the honor roll, you get to go do events as a class back in this time period of my life, back in the school days. Mouse Hunt was the movie that we got to go see. And the only thing that I take away from this movie to this day was the architect that designed the house that they're trying to capture the mouse in shared the same last name with me. I found that intriguing. That's the only thing after all these years that I still remember from it.
Huh.
And to close it out for the notable films was Jackie Brown. So Tarantino putting out some more good content. Let's talk about some debuts.
D-boots.
Some debuts.
Give me a second. I gotta put things back where they go.
Quit breaking shit.
That's not right. Hey, we're back.
Hey, that's me.
So, some debuts. We'll talk about the actors and then their role, or the film rather, that they got their start in. Eric Bana, The Castle.
That's him dead in the middle in the blue jacket.
Gosh, he looks like such
So
a
young.
nerd.
He would eventually Hulk up.
Welcome to the group.
Paul Bettany. Bent.
He was in Nazi.
Such a great actor.
I have a vision that he'll do well. You're welcome. Jessica Biel. Uly's Gold. Don't know that one.
Never even heard of it.
I've heard of it.
Blanchett in Paradise Road. Orlando Bloom in Wild.
Speaking of looking young, and yet looking exactly like he looks now.
I wonder if anyone pirated that film.
Ha!
Gerard Butler, Mrs. Brown.
Holy
Quite the
crap.
snapshot.
I thought that was Tom Cruise in an Interview with a Vampire for a minute when I first found that picture.
We got a cheers
He
here.
doesn't have
hip,
middle
hip.
tooth.
Hooray!
Thanks for the cheers.
He doesn't have middle tooth, though, so it's okay.
Jennifer Garner in Deconstructing Harry.
She's doing what to him?
Deconstructing. We have Ryan Gosling, Frankenstein and Me. He's a young little boy.
Aww, he's a widow.
I don't even see Scott Steiner. There's no Frankensteiner going on here.
Katie Holmes in The Ice Storm.
Speaking of people who don't age.
Right. There's something about that gene. And that they're doing something.
Yeah.
Injecting young people genes into themselves.
Tom Cruise is not aged.
Mm-mm.
Maya Rudolph in Gattaca.
I don't know. I think that's her. That's the best I could get.
We'll go with it. And Amy Smart in The Last Time I Committed Suicide.
Huh.
To close out the year that was 1997, we always talk about some of the music that may have motivated or inspired us. We have some additional facts too here. So we'll talk about the top 5 songs. You may remember these. You may go download them on iTunes right now or after this episode as you're like, I remember that song. It's been a minute.
So inspired.
So let's talk about the number 1 song that year was Candle in the Wind by Elton John. So, of course, we lost Princess Di. Anna. Number 2. This is the one that I remember the most from this year. That I listened to a lot. Obviously, a cover of The Police. I'll Be Missing You. Sean Combs, P. Diddy, P. Daddy, P. Duddy. Faith Evans in 112. I'll Be Missing You.
Everyone listened to that song.
Yep.
You didn't have a choice.
No, it was on everything. Mm-hmm. Another song that was on everything, Aqua sang the Barbie Girl song. If you don't know the words to this, you were wrapped in cellophane. Or wrapped in plastic. Because it'd be fantastic.
Would it though?
I feel like you should just go ahead and don't speak.
Oh, I know just what you're thinking. Is no doubt that this is a song by them.
Hey, it's that Gwen Stefani band, guys.
It is. It's the Gwen Stefani band that she would eventually go solo from as Gwen Stefani. Yep. Which is her name.
It is.
That's crazy how that works. Just makes you go,
But you didn't have a transition for that. You were reaching. Hanson, of course, here with Bop making their hit song that would be their only hit. Pretty much.
Big
if they had
hit,
another
and
hit,
it had like no actual words in it.
Bop a doop a dop a doop zoo bop zoop a dop bop a doop. I'm a scat man.
I love that song.
He died.
Was that the same people?
Nope. So some fun facts, though. I want to include this because some of these things were really notable and defined this year. June 17th, Blink-182 released their second studio album called Dude Ranch, which gained small mainstream success. This was the last album that Scott Raynor contributed to, and the next year he was replaced by Travis Barker. Another fun fact, June 24th, Disney owned Hollywood Records. They dropped ICP, or the Insane Clown Posse, from their roster and pulls the album The Great Malenko after 6 hours of release in an attempt to placate the Southern Baptist Church, who were threatening to boycott the company for straying from its family-friendly image. The controversy generates tremendous publicity for the band, who will soon sign with Island Records.
Something tells me that Disney doesn't care as much what the Baptist Church thinks nowadays.
No. So I Can't Stand the Rain, Missy Misdemeanor Elliott released Superfly from her debut album, The Super Duper Fly. So this was her debut. July 29th, it was getting hot that summer. 98 degrees hot. And it was Rising.
Still have this CD.
And Rising was their second album. But this album was their debut, 98 Degrees. As you can see, this is kind of a trend that's happening because August 11th, the Backstreet Boys came back with the release of their second international album, Backstreet's Back. Backstreet's Back. All right. August 12th, they burst onto the music scene in the United States with the release of their album, Backstreet Boys.
Going through the prep for this episode, that
very confusing.
The
they were more popular overseas than they were in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
So they were having a difficult time trending here. But they actually, in 96 is when they started getting momentum in Europe.
I was going to say, the late 90s is when all the big boy bands
Well, this summer was the explosion of it. Continuing that trend, just because the boys did it, the girls can do it too.
Yep.
November 3rd, we saw the Spice Girls release Spice World, their second #1 album, making the group the first British rock band since the Beatles to have two albums in the U.S. chart at the same time. Spice and Spice World have amassed enough sales for 1 out of every 2 people in Britain to own a Spice Girls album. Amazing. I went and seen the movie too in theaters when it came out.
Yep, my sister and I went and saw it.
I have it on.
It's so campy. It's hilarious. I love it.
It's still
Still
good.
haven't seen it.
Really?
I found it for $5 at a thrift shop. It's one of the dual-sided DVDs. One side's full screen, one side's widescreen.
See, those should have been more of a thing.
I was always worried I'd scratch one side, though. November 25th, Will Smith released his debut solo album, Big Willie Style. He was going to Miami.
Yep.
And getting jiggy with it. I liked Will Smith. I had this album.
Everyone had this album.
December 1st, Aaron Carter, obviously the little brother of Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys, burst onto the music scene at the age of 10 with the release of his debut album.
There was a lot of bursting in music this year.
Bubble yum. Making him the youngest male artist in the world since Michael Jackson back in 1969.
I constantly feel like he really only got any traction because his brother
It definitely helped.
was a Backstreet Boy.
Definitely helped.
Yeah.
December 26th, the Spice Girls released their big screen debut, Spice World the Movie, which I had mentioned, starring Richard E. Grant, Roger Moore, Elton John, and Stephen Fry. The movie makes $6.8 million in its first week of release, and I contributed to that money. That closes out the year that was 1997, though. Silence. Everyone's just kind of...
And there was much rejoicing. Yay.
So, this is probably a year I remember the most out of these 91, like overall. Mm-hmm. Like I remember notable things, but I don't recall them happening in that year or playing that particular game or thing that year.
Mm-hmm. But then looking at it collectively, you're like, I remember all of this.
Yeah, collectively, this is the year I'm like, this is when I was truly becoming defined as who I was and what I was into, basically. And at 12 years old, I'm thinking that you kind of have an observation of the world or a decent perspective of things. That
you're definitely putting together the framework.
Right. You never truly figure that kind of thing out.
Yeah,
but,
no kidding. I'm still figuring it out.
But 97 was a really good year for content.
Yeah.
98 and 99 will also continue to be highlighted years as we close out the 90s series.
Especially for wrestling.
Yes. So stick around for that. this is Dose of Nerd Acumen's Twitch. We have, come early November, our final 2 episodes of the regular weekly Dosage. They're going to be back-to-back, 98 and then 99. So 1 week 98, the following 99. We'll close out the original run of this All the Good Culture series, and we'll segue into our new type of content, some more information coming from that. But we have some real cool content, so stick around in October. We're going to be playing some horror games, some bracket challenges, VR of Resident Evil 7.
Super excited for that.
Some regular Resident Evil 7, some more Gears maybe, some Costume Quest 2 maybe. Definitely some more NAW content, maybe some horror icons will show up there. That'd be pretty cool, right? Mm-hmm. Speaking of NAW, this Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, be sure to tune in for our 4th pay-per-view event featuring a 6-man Armageddon Hell in a Cell match. It's called Asylum. So vote along, as the person with the most correct for that show gets to be general manager for a whole day. So you get to decide a whole card. So that's pretty cool.
Right on.
New for the show. Other than that, we got some other things that we're tossing around. Always trying to be innovative, trying to figure out what you guys like. Ultimately, I've had a lot of fun doing this 90s stuff.
We just really want you to love us.
Yes. So, looking back, I think this 90s series will be a lot of fun to reminisce on. Hopefully it won't be another 20 years that we're reflecting on 20 years ago from content from 20 years ago. You see what I did there? It was like a weekly Dosage inception. And everyone's like, it's too late for this shit. Don't do that. Yeah, the Doceptions. Doceptions. It's like a Dos Equis.
Oh. So are there only 2 layers then?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. That's as far as we go.
It's only a little slow.
We're tired, guys. We can't handle more than that. We actually want to go to sleep.
Yeah, with that, though, this is our 52nd episode. Please join us next week for 53 as we celebrate 1 year on October 5th of the weekly Dosage. So it all started with that old SNES Classic, me on my tablet, and it's evolved into this. So there'll be a lot of thanks to all these people and their support and commitment. And you guys, of course, the viewers, for those of you who checked us out since day one. So, thank you. Until then, though, bye.
Toodles.
Deuces.